This is the only Cursor video that you have to probably see if you have not used Cursor at all. See, Cursor AI has been making huge waves in the programming space. A lot of people are using this to develop applications that they wouldn't have developed otherwise, including me. So I wanted to put together a very simple tutorial that explains you everything about Cursor, because there is not a lot of beginner level tutorial rather than the project level tutorials. And this assumes that you have just installed Cursor and then you just have logged in, nothing else. And a lot of comments on my channel currently says that maybe this is a sponsored video. This is definitely not a sponsored video. This company has been advocated by a lot of rich people in Silicon Valley. I'm nobody for them. They're not giving me any money, and I can say that without any doubt that I have not received a single penny to make this video. But if you were to support the channel, I've opened membership which charges you $1 per month. You could sign up and then support the channel. So first of all, what are we going to do? So if you have not downloaded, all you have to do is go to cursor.com and download this here. And then you have to also log in here, and because this is using their own model, so you have to log in and then use it. But once you have done it, one of the easiest way for you to launch Cursor is just go here and then search for it. And all my tutorials are on Mac. I don't have a Windows to test it, so I'm going to show you on Mac. So once you open Cursor, so the options that you have got is that you can open a folder, you can open with SSH. If you're going to do everything in local machine, you can just open a folder. But if you want to remote login into a remote machine, then you can open it with an SSH. So I can just click open a particular folder. For example, one of my recent projects here is the retro math. I can open it. After I open this, you would see something like this, where the very first time when you open this, you can import the settings from Visual Studio Code. Cursor is not a completely new IDE. It is just a fork of Visual Studio Code, which is an open source IDE, integrated development environment by Microsoft. But let's say you have not done it. So now what are we going to do? We're going to see a bunch of Cursor settings that I believe you should start enabling. The first of all, what you have to do is Command Shift P. Command Shift P. So once I do Command Shift P, you would see the small menu bar like the project menu. And here you can go search Cursor settings. Once you go to Cursor settings, you would notice certain things. For example, one, I am on a pro trial account. I've not still purchased it. I'm still on the fence whether to use Cursor or separately Claude 3.5. But for now, I'm on the pro trial account. So if you register for Cursor for the first time, I guess for 2 weeks, you get the pro trial account. Then if you have Visual Studio Code settings like key bindings, extensions, you can go here and import it. The next thing is a very important thing. Imagine you are going to code in only one particular project in only particular language. Then you can set the rules here. So this is where you can say, okay, just use React, just use Python. So this is where you set the rules for AI that will be used across all the chats, which is your Command L, and across all Command K sessions. So this is very important if you're going to code in only one language. Imagine I'm going to develop an iOS application, like an Apple iPhone application, a game, which I definitely want to do. Then all you have to do is go here and then specifically mention that, okay, always use a Swift or whatever that iOS application thing is. So you have to mention that very clearly. So then you can say that, okay, never do this thing, never do that thing. And then give the rules, the set of boundaries that you want the AI to be adhering to and play by. One is that option. But if you want to do it, let's say repo wise, you don't want to set it across all the projects, you want to do it project wise. So what you can do is in any project that you have got, let's say this is your project folder, which we just opened it. Now you can add a file just like your git ignore file. If you're familiar with git ignore, like for example, like this, you can add something called a .cursor rules file, and you can specify the exact set of rules there. So now what you're doing is, instead of making it across all the projects, like for example, you want to say just use Python. Now, maybe you want to code a Next.js project. Maybe tomorrow you want to code a Swift project. So you don't want that confusion to be there. So you can go ahead and then leave this empty here and then set that cursor rules file in your current working directory, the root folder, and this will pick that up. So, and you can enable that. If you disable it, it will not pick it up. If you enable it, it will pick it up. Right now, I don't have a cursor rules file, but I can set a cursor rules file and then use it. And then another thing is, if you are like me, you're paranoid about companies using your data, because especially like right now I'm a free trial, but if I pay, I don't want them to use my data. I'm like very clear about it. So if on, none of your code will be stored by them. So this is enabled. Your code is not going to be stored by them. If off, we may save prompts, collect telemetry data to improve cursor. I'm sorry, boss. I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to just say enabled. So I don't want it to collect my data, which I believe they may not do because there is a fiduciary duty for them not to do it. Yeah, if they cheat, that's a totally different topic. But as its face value, I'm believing that they're not going to do it. This is all about the cursor settings. Cool. So another important thing before I move into the next one another important thing a lot of people love to do it on Visual Studio Code is the ability to open a folder from command prompt or a terminal, shell, whatever that you use. The way you can enable that is you can just do Command Shift P, and once you do Command Shift P, you can just say shell. If you search for shell, you have 4 options: shell command, install cursor command, fix WSL install if you're on Windows, install code command, Visual Studio Code command, uninstall cursor command from path. So if right now, for example, I'm going to uninstall cursor command from path, and it's asking me to enter the password. Hopefully I don't. Yeah. So now what happens is I can go to my, let's say this one, my terminal, and I can say cursor dot. And what did I get? I got an error that says it does not understand cursor. And this is one of the easiest way that you can open a folder, which like I always do with Visual Studio Code. Just go here and then say code dot inside the current working directory, and it would open. It's fairly easier. So if you were to do that first time when you install it, you would not have it. Command Shift P, go here, start searching for shell, install cursor command, done. Okay, it's going to ask me to add password again. Hopefully, yeah. Now I go back here and then select whatever folder that I want to select. Like for example, I'm inside retro math. I'm going to just say cursor dot, and it opens a retro math for me as a folder. Very simple. Everything is in relative path. Quite useful. Do it. So first step, cursor settings. Second step, make cursor available for the next use so that you can launch from terminal. Third step, go to models and then see what are the models that you want to use, what are the models that you do not want to use, what is it that you want to enable. So for example, this is all offered by Cursor, like GPT-4, GPT-4o, Claude 3 Opus, and all the other models. Now you can add your own model as well if you want. The other thing is you can go enter your own API key. So bring your own model, Biome. So you can do Biome, and you can use OpenAI API key or Anthropic API key, Google API key. I want to actually test it with Google API key because at this point there are like a couple of calls with Google is free. I tried with Google Gemini 1.5 Pro, the experimental version, but I was hitting the rate limit. But it worked with 1.5 Flash, not with Cursor. I did it with Aider. I might make a separate video on it. But if you want to use your own model, you can just go here, enter it, and verify it. This is one of the easiest ways for you to bring your own model so that you have the capability that you bring in. And finally, if you have got any feature that you want to enable, one thing is Cursor. People who use Cursor like live by something called a composer. It's a new feature. It's in beta. It's not available by default. So all you have to do is you have to go enable here. So you can go here and enable, or you can also do Command Shift P, and then you can search for composer, and it will say enable composer or disable composer. Like for example, after I disable composer, the composer is disabled here. It's inside the features. Go here, enable it. And then you have got a bunch of other settings that you want to do. You can do it. And one important thing is you want to do code base indexing so that it builds the embedding of the code base that you have got. You want to enable that as well. And the other thing is Cursor tab. A lot of people like tab. And you can also have Cursor tab enabled. So you can see here, Cursor tab is enabled. So Cursor tab, composer, and also basically every other thing is like the chat and all the other thing. It's a very basic thing. You can enable this, you can disable this. Whatever you want to do it here, you can do it here. So this is a setting that you should pay attention to. Any new feature that comes in, it is inside beta. So for example, long context chat, the Claude's 200,000, that is disabled by default. AI review, that is disabled by default. You can enable it and use it. I think it depends upon when they're going to make it fully available. So some features are in alpha, some are in beta. So you can enable it and then do it. Hope at this point you're clear about cursor settings. Now what I'm going to show you is 3 different ways you can make changes to the code. I think the first way is quite obvious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this. Go back to my terminal, come out of this. I'm going to create a new directory, new folder. I'm going to create a new folder. I would like to call this, let's say, dirty page. I don't know. Maybe a terrible name, but yeah, dirty page. Okay. So I'm going inside dirty page. I'm going to cursor inside it, cursor. Also, you can alias code to cursor. I didn't want to do it. I want to use Visual Studio Code separately, cursor separately. So cursor dot. Once you do that, you got a dirty page. So this is a dirty page. And also another thing is, if you do not know, you can just select any theme that you like. For example, I've gone ahead with Synthwave theme, which I used to love when I was in RStudio and a lot of other IDEs. So I'm going ahead with the same Synthwave theme. So once you go to cursor, there are 3 different ways you can create files. One, even though I usually advise you to go ahead with the base boilerplate code, one of the things that you can do is you can use Composer. So Command I will invoke Composer. As you can see here, I did Command I, it has invoked Composer. So when you do this thing, one other thing that you can also do within Composer and anything else is you can keep a file here, okay? And you can call that file here. For example, let me give you an example. So I'm going to create a file here. I'm going to call this stupid.md, okay? Inside stupid.md, I'm going to say this is a set of rules that you should definitely follow. Make sure your Python code uses tabs, not spaces. Some bunch of other crap, okay? So what you can do is Command I will invoke this thing. So what I can do is I can remove this file and I can say, hey, and then select the file. The file is stupid.md. Now I can give further instruction and that will take whatever I have mentioned here into the account. So for example, let's say I've got a certain way of creating database. You can specify it in a markdown file and use it. You have a certain way of creating authentication. You can create one standard document and then use it across your projects. You have a particular style, a brand, a design that you want to follow in your front-end application. You can mention it in the file and then use it. So this is extremely valuable if you iterate and then use it. Right now it looks like a joke, but you can actually do it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete my stupid file inside my dirty folder. So I'm going to go ahead and just simply say create a simple HTML, CSS, JavaScript retro game and make sure the game has got a splash screen. Okay, now I have sent this in the Composer, which is expected to create all the files that are required. So as you can see here, it is creating index.html. I'm not sure if it is going to also create okay, it's going to create a Pong game. And as you can see here, it is creating all these things. And okay, so accept all. And after you accept all and close it, you go to index.html. It's available for you to use it. I'm not sure how effective it is. You can just go ahead and then play with that. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to do open dot, and then I've got this here, and I'm going to open this with my browser, and I've got a retro game, start game. Oh, how do I play this? Seriously? Okay, with the mouse, cool. Ah, this is nice. This is nice, interesting. So almost like an Atari game rather than the Atari brick game. But anyways, the game worked. So one of the ways to create something is to use the Composer. The second way to do the same is, for example, I can select all these things, do Command K and then make some changes. For example, I can say, right now this is very minimalistic. Can you make it more colorful probably in Tron Legacy theme. Okay, so I did not mention anything. I've just like literally thrown a movie name there, which is Tron Legacy. I hope it understands what do I mean by that, and it's going to make code changes. So this diff code format is extremely helpful if you're dealing with only one single file. So Composer is helpful if you want to create something boilerplate, if you want to create something standard, and also it's very extremely helpful if you want to take a lot of instructions and give it, and you want to make changes across files. Command K is extremely helpful if you want to make changes in one file. And next one, we are going to see the chat, which is very helpful, again, to make changes across the file and also to chat. Okay, I'm going to refresh this. Oh, Tron Legacy. I like the glow. I like the glow. Enter the grid. I like it. Wow, this is actually nice. This is beautiful. This is very interesting. And there is no score and all those things. So what I can do is I can just select Command L and then I can say, the game is amazing. I don't know why am I appreciating it. The game is amazing. And I can say web. I can go to the web and let's say here I'm going to say Tron Legacy design. Okay. I'm going to take some Tron Legacy design. I'm going to copy this link, copy the image address. Okay. I'm going to go back here. Right now, there are not a lot of images. Please use images design inspiration from this, and also use let's say I want to give one more documentation here, transformer JS, transformer JS. Let's see. Yeah, let's give this use web transformer JS to integrate transformer JS feature that can be part of the game. I don't know what this is going to do. Make sure to create separate files. I'm not sure if it's going to respect it, but one thing that you learn is you can give the web and then you can do this, and also you can do docs. So when you do docs, it has got like a bunch of documentation. Like for example, you can say Hugging Face Transformer official, OpenAI. Like for example, if you were to create a chatbot, this is like fairly simply easier for you to create a chatbot because this is already an official documentation. Other than that, like I said initially, if you have got local file, you can give the file. If you have got folder, you can give the entire folder. You can give code base and everything that you want. So let's give this. If I press enter, it's going to go. If I press command enter, it is going to take my code base and then chat with that and then do all those things. So it's, as you can see here, it is searching on the internet. Did you see this? Searching on the internet, getting a bunch of pages, collecting the pages, and it has also taken transformer.js and it is doing all these things. So it's creating a design inspiration. Here are the suggested changes. It is making the change, and image to text generation. Why? Okay. I have a strong feeling that it's not going to work out. Maybe that is beyond the scope of this video. But I have a very strong feeling it is not going to work out. Let's see. There's a question and answering. Okay, I'm going to accept it. I'm not going to. Why? I don't want text classification for power up. This is one of the biggest problems that you would face when you're dealing with AI, because it can go in all different directions. Sometimes you may not even need all those things. Like I think I'm at the same exact position where I've got a bunch of things getting added. Technically, it doesn't make any improvement to the code, but yeah, I mean it's the AI is giving me. I'm going to like blindly accept it, hopefully. And let's see. I've accepted it. Going back here to my Tron Legacy Pong. Yeah, it didn't work, obviously. Primarily because I think it's hit an error. So you can see that there is an import module outside. So the point is, you can give documentation, ask question, it can create the answer and do all those things, and then it can fix it for you. And that's pretty much Cursor is. Like there are a bunch of other things that you can do here, like certain things like I said, you can create a template, use a template and code it. But this is pretty much it. Like if you can Control Z Control Z and accept this and save it and go back here and let me save this here and yeah, enter the grid, play this game. Cool. So I hope you understood how to do the basic settings, change the models, Command K, Command L, Composer, and also to add documents, search on internet, and a bunch of other things. If you have any question, let me know in the comment section, but I hope I delivered on your promise that this should be the only video that you watch for Cursor. We have not touched Git and all. I don't want to complicate it further, but this should help you get started with the AI development that you wished that you had. See you in another video. Happy prompting.